LGBTQ identities and expressions have been depicted in various forms throughout history, and ancient art is no exception. While interpretations can be challenging due to cultural differences, there's evidence of same-sex attraction, gender fluidity, and non-binary identities in various ancient civilizations. The Greeks had a more relaxed attitude towards same-sex relationships, particularly between adult men and younger boys. This is reflected in their art, especially pottery. However, it is important to note that it wasn't quite the same as modern homosexuality. In ancient Greece, there was a strong emphasis on fulfilling one's civic duty to have children and to defend city-state. Sexual relationships between men were often seen as a way for an older man to mentor and educate a younger boy in exchange for social status and training. Also remember that interpreting ancient art can be challenging. These depictions may not have reflected everyday life, and their meaning could have varied depending on the context. However, they do provide evidence that same-sex relationships were a recognized part of the ancient Greek society. For example, in the synopsis scene, this red figure Helix, painted on the Dorius painter in Attica, Greece, around 485 to 480 BCE, depicts a scene from a synopsis, a formal drinking party for elite men in ancient Greece. Here's a breakdown of the scene and possible interpretations. The most prominent figure is a bearded man, likely a commist. Commists were young, wealthy men who participated in all-night drinking parties and revelry. He's depicted in motion, moving right, but turning his head back to the left. He wears a chlamys, a cloak, draped over his upper arms and red headband in his hair. He holds up a cup in his right hand behind him and a knotty stick, possibly a staff, across his left body. Moving into ancient Rome, similar to the Greeks, Roman society had a more accepting view on same-sex relationships, particularly between men. However, societal norms did change over time. Roman views on homosexuality and art were complex and differed from those of the ancient Greeks in some key ways. Similar to Greece, Roman art does depict same-sex relationships, particularly between men, found on various objects like pottery, lamps, and wall paintings. Also, much like Greek art, Roman depictions often focus on the aesthetics of the body and the idealized nature of the relationships. There was a degree of social acceptance in same-sex relationships in Roman society, especially for men with clear, distinct roles, either the penetrator or the penetrated. Opposite of Greece, depictions of same-sex relationships are much less frequent in Roman art. Unlike the Greek focus on mentorship, Roman art doesn't always emphasize a clear age difference or power dynamic in the same-sex couples. Some depictions, especially in private settings like bathhouses, might have been more celebratory or humorous, including same-sex acts considered unconventional by Roman norms. The existing Roman art with the same-sex themes in a small fraction of the overall artistic output. This makes it difficult to draw definite conclusions about societal views. Roman art more prominently features heterosexual relationships compared to the same-sex ones. Societal attitudes towards homosexuality in Rome might have changed over time. While Roman art offers some evidence of same-sex relationship, it doesn't paint a complete picture. There was a degree of acceptance with the societal norms and power dynamics playing a role. As you can see in the Sleeping Hermaphrodite, the sculpture depicts a mythical figure, Hermaphroditus, in a state of peaceful sleep. Here's a breakdown of the sculpture's key features and potential interpretations. The figure is a young androgynous being, combining male and female anatomical features, referencing the myth of Hermaphrodite being merged with the nymph Salmacis. This sculpture is reflecting the Roman admiration for Greek art and their focus on naturalistic representations of the human form. Hermaphrodite was a popular Greek subject in Greek and Roman art, symbolizing duality, the merging of opposites, and the complexity of human nature. Next, in ancient Egypt, there's evidence of same-sex relationships in ancient Egyptian art and literature. The tomb of Neankunum and Nuhotep, two high officials who lived around 2380 BCE, depicts them in an intimate embrace, suggesting a possible same-sex partnership. Ancient Egyptian views on homosexuality art are fascinating but also complex. Here's what we know. The tomb of these two men is the most famous example. These high officials are depicted in an intimate embrace with their noses touching, a gesture often signifying marital intimacy. Some interpret this as a same-sex couple, while others suggest brotherhood or even conjoined twins. There are also scattered examples in art that might hint at a same-sex relationship, but they are open for interpretation. Unlike Greek society, clear depictions of same-sex relationships are rare. We don't fully understand how Egyptians viewed sexuality and relationships. Their concepts might not directly translate to modern ideas of homosexuality. Egyptian society placed a high value on having children to ensure the afterlife. Same-sex relationships might not have been seen as problematic as long as they didn't interfere with a duty. The lack of clear condemnation and the depictions like the tomb might suggest that some levels of acceptance for same-sex relationships existed. Egyptians might have been more concerned with fulfilling procreation duties than with the specific gender of one's partner. We simply might not have enough evidence to draw definitive conclusions. Egyptologists are still actively researching this topic. There's no definitive answer yet how Egyptians viewed homosexuality. However, ancient Egyptian art hints at a possible acceptance of same-sex relationships, but the evidence is open to interpretation. More researchers needed to fully understand the views on homosexuality. As you can see here in the tomb of Neankunum and Kunhotep, also known as the Tomb of Hairdressers, or the Tomb of Two Brothers, is a fascinating archaeological discovery offering insight into ancient Egyptian life and sparking discussion about same-sex relationship. The tomb dating to the 5th dynasty around 2400 BC, the tomb predates the reign of Pharaoh Unas. Its location, initially buried under Unas' causeway, suggested that its construction happened earlier, possibly under Nayrusi or Menkuhor. Overall, it is important to remember that our understanding of sexuality and gender is different from these concepts were viewed in ancient civilization. However, the existence of LGBTQIA representation in art shows that these identities have a long history.